I have no idea. Anyway, I am Jason. I am the wizard. I'm here with Vince Fortunato. And Vince is a business owner and an entrepreneur, a graphic artist, and a DJ. How do you make the sound? Like if I'm doing like techno or something, I'll
What's funny is I had a friend of mine who got married, and his wife couldn't remember my name, so she used to call me Wicka Wicka. Wicka Wicka. And then it became Wicka Wicka Vince. That was my name.
Wicka Vince.
Yes, that's kind of funny. It almost sounds like Wiccan.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say, if you were a Wiccan, then it would be like, yes, of course, I'm Wicka Vince. That's like double the Wicca.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
So at this time, who are you most out of all of those things?
Ooh. Right now, I think I'm just a human being, like we all are.
Yes.
I mean, that to me is the most important thing right now. It doesn't matter the title. Be a human being. I think that is most important right now. So, try to be nice to those around you, I guess. But yeah, it's funny. I think human being would be my job right now.
I think that, because of the time that a lot of us have on our hands, as far as I find that I occupy most of that time, by interviewing, friends and colleagues and people I want to talk to. This is my social time too. I get to just go out and talk.
Yeah.
But it is a time to evaluate where it is that you're at. Take stock where you're at, who you are, what your identity is currently, and see if there's any need to change things up, if there's a calling, a pull towards moving in a certain direction for the future. Anything like that getting you?
I guess. Wow, that's a stumper. You're making me think here. I don't know if I've had a calling yet. I'm sure that at the end of this, I have a feeling that that's it. I think something's going to present itself, and I'm going to have to choose whether to go on this journey, which I kind of hope that I do. But I don't know what it is yet. I mean, I'm not being pulled in any direction yet. It's like Christine loves to say all the time, it's a hurry up and wait. But I don't know. It's weird. I hope so. I hope that, that'd be awesome if this is like our cocoon stage, right?
Yes.
And at the end of it, that beautiful butterfly pops out, it comes out of the chrysalis and just goes on its way. That butterfly doesn't know where it's going. It was just created. It was just transformed. So I think that I'm going to keep my ears and eyes open and my heart, because, I think I need to lead with that. But I'm hoping that at the end of this, something presents itself that is worthwhile. I don't know. It's kind of hard to plan anything right now. So I guess my best bet right now is just to kind of take it as it comes to me and choose to act on it in the way that is best for society and myself. But I really don't have a calling just yet. That's interesting. I haven't really thought about that. It's funny. It's like I spent most of the day going, what am I going to talk to Jason about? and thinking like that. So bravo. That you caught me right at the start.
No. It's not about catching you off guard. It's a
great question. That's what I mean. It's a great question that I don't think that I've thought of that much. I am now, though. I can see the wheel spinning in the back of my head.
You brought up the analogy of the butterfly, and it's a perfect metaphor for transformation. And I know a lot about them in that my wife cultivates butterflies. She brings them in from like being little eggs, and then the caterpillars hatch out of those eggs, and they grow and they grow and they eat and eat and eat and eat, and then they go into that chrysalis state. And when they become the butterfly, when they pop open their casing and slide out, it's they don't know like why they're the butterfly, but they know why they're the butterfly. It's not an intellectual process, but in their DNA, it's like as they dry out their wings, they learn how to fly.
Yeah.
They learn how to fly, and they go out into the world, and they become pollinators, and they are wonderful uh, beings. They are amazing. They're so incredible. And yet it's okay to not have to know like all the details of what's going to happen with this, but to allow for an unfolding within oneself, that blossoming within oneself.
Yeah.
um
I'm a huge butterfly fan. I never was as a kid. I mean, I like them, but I never was fast until Christina and I started dating. And she was gifted a milkweed plant when we lived together, when we were in Los Angeles still. And I got to tell you, that was the coolest day ever. I saw those caterpillars killing that milkweed. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that plant's not going to make it. And Christine kept saying, be patient, be patient. And then the chrysalis formed, and it was almost like a 3-4 time daily thing. And I didn't get to see all of them hatch. She saw most of them. I saw some of them hatch, and I was just like, wow, it was super cool.
Yeah.
All monarchs, and it was beautiful. I think we had 7 or 8 from that one milkweed. And so the question now has been, I need to get another milkweed.
That's right. Keep it going.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what Sue did. And so she's like helped cultivate about 1,000 or so butterflies.
Wow.
We've run out of names, because she would name them all. So far I've learned that you like butterflies. Do you like iron butterfly?
Oh, Inagata Devita.
Right?
Of course. I have that record. I have a lot of records. The funny thing is, I love Iron Butterfly because I remember reading this book when I was, I think, 17 about Led Zeppelin, and Inagata Devita is the big Iron Butterfly song. It's like a 12-minute opus, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great record. But what did they follow it up with?
Ball.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Huh.
I mean, there's some great songs on it, but yeah, it's once you've achieved like a certain height there, it is hard to top that. There's very few bands who've been able to do that.
Yep.
There are a lot of bands who have, but you can almost see it like if you chart it. You can see a band's like rise, and then kind of where they taper off, and very
Yep.
few like are able to maintain like a solid level of just like, oh my God, that's incredible, it's like, okay, maybe their time is like done.
Well, it's funny. One of the things I'm really, really thankful for right now is I'm in the record pool. So record pool used to mean you would join a record pool. Your membership would cost, I think it was $40 or $50 every 3 weeks. And you would go to the record pool spot and give them your money, and they'd give you 40, 50 records that the record companies gave that they want the DJs to play. So that kind of modified itself into online record pools, which I still have quite a few. There's so much good music coming out right now. I'm in heaven. 9 Inch Nails released 2 albums for free. Pearl Jam put a new album out. The Weeknd put a new album out. Caribou put a new album out. There's so many. Tame Impala put a new out. There's so much good music right now. And on top of that, the reason I haven't done a live stream is because I've been watching so many of them. There's so many live streams of DJs that I know or I've played with, or watching those, and it's like, oh, how am I going to beat that? And I think I just need to play music and just get over myself. It's like, but there's a ton of great music happening right now, and I'm so thankful for that. I mean, I've gotten probably 20 records in the last 2 weeks, and not only do I get to download these records, I get to actually listen to them, which is something that I haven't had a chance to do for a very long time.
Yeah.
Sit outside with my BB gun, put the record on my phone, put the headphones in, and just sit and listen and do something else. It's been a long time since I've done that. And it's like we were talking prior to this about rediscovering things that I love that I've forgotten about. The bow and arrow. Man, I used to go out with that bow and arrow every day and just shoot targets in my backyard. I never was a bow hunter. I was always a target shooter. My dad and I hunted when I was younger, but that's not a big deal to me. I don't need to kill an animal. I mean, I don't care about that. I haven't killed an animal in 30 years. I mean, but the fact of just sitting there and, controlling your breath, remembering all the stuff that you're supposed to do, and music, listening to music in my headphones or while I'm working is something that I haven't had a chance to do in a long time. And it's kind of rediscovering those things. Rediscovering board games. That's another fun one.
What kind of board games?
Yahtzee. Well, Yahtzee's not really a board game. Yahtzee, backgammon. I love backgammon. I play as much backgammon as I can. And then you've got your Monopoly, but I really don't have, 8 hours to. Actually, I probably could play Monopoly right now.
Yeah, why not?
It's just that I don't want to. And plus, it'd just be Christine and I, and that means someone's going to get all the nice, boardwalk and park place, and the other person's going to have, all the crappy hotel or the crappy houses and not make any money.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like if you're going to play like Monopoly, it's like you play with people that they can leave at the end of the day. You can like, wipe them out, of all their money and property, and then it's like they can like leave and then come back, in another month or so, play again. But when it's your spouse, your partner, it's like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't, and then gloat, it's like, loser, you're a loser. And it's like, well, okay. It comes back to you. That kind of karma slingshots right back to you. It's like, don't do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We haven't been playing too many games. I played those board games you can play online. Like I play backgammon online all the time, and I love it. That's a game. I mean, I have the original set I got when I was 7. It's a blue corduroy box.
Oh wow.
It's so old school. The handle is held together with electrical tape. Because I've had that set seriously since I was 6 years old. I'm gonna be 50 a week from today, so that's 34 years I've owned that set of backgammon.
Wow.
I love to play that. And reading. I've been doing a lot of reading. Just trying to, I love to read as it is, and now I just have a little bit more time to do it. And so I'm catching up. There's a guy named Graham Hancock. He wrote this book in the 90s. I believe it's called Fingerprints of the Gods. And what he suggested was that there were civilizations predating when we thought, so it was thought that up until 6,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers. And he said, well, no, I don't think that's the case. And he got laughed at. And then in the 2000s, they found Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which was a buried civilization that goes back to 12,000 years ago, where it looks like they had accounting and farming. So he wrote that book. So his new book is on the Americas, and it's about how in the United States, everyone was Clovis first. Clovis first is not accurate. There could have been people in the United States as far back as 30,000 years ago. They found remains from at least 18,000 years ago. So it's a fascinating book. I mean, I love reading his stuff because he's very smart. He's very factual. So I'm reading that. And then I picked up, there was another author, David Halberstam, who has written some books that I absolutely love. He wrote one called The Summer of '49. It was about the St. Louis Cardinals winning the World Series. And it's a great book. So he wrote a book on the Korean War. And I'm reading that because I've always been fascinated and I've really, so getting to read has been great. I love reading.
It sounds like a wide mix too of topics.
Yeah. I mean, I keep all the books that I love because I know I'll reread them, and that's what's happening now. I've got trunks of books So Christine and I decided to clear up the garage. And when we did that, I took that as the ability to take all the books that were in the house and swap with books that were in the garage. So now I have more stuff to read.
You are like a tactile person, right? With records, because you
Yeah.
have like a great album collection, and with
Yeah.
books. As far as do you ever like go into that Kindle realm, or where you're like
Yeah.
reading online?
Actually,
So
I own a Kindle, and I love my Kindle, especially being an Amazon Prime member. You get one free book a month.
mhm.
And so I have a Kindle. The Kindle, I am a tactile person, and I honestly love a good book in my hands. But at the same time, if I'm traveling,
Mm.
it's hard to take two books that are, both those books are about 3 inches,
Oh
thick
yeah.
hardcover. So if like we're going somewhere, I'll bring the Kindle and I'll use that to read on. So I do read the Kindle. I don't prefer it, but it's like I am an analog guy, and I love my records, and I love the way they sound, but I love my laptop when I DJ because I don't have to lug all my records around. So, I mean, there's something to be said about the compression on music isn't as great as, a vinyl record, but at the same time, in that case, I'm going to take ease of use over personal preference. And the way that it works with the turntables, it looks like I'm playing with a record, but it's basically a blank record with time code, and I can scratch an MP3 on my laptop.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because I've been a musician in a band before,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're interacting with an audience, there's a certain type of connection that you make with an audience. As a DJ,
Mm-hmm.
when you have the music that is already created there, you're still looking to connect to the audience, right?
Yes.
And what's that process like? How would you describe that?
Well, whenever I'm been offered a gig, I ask the details about it because that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, if I'm going to play to a crowd that is in their 50s and 60s, it's going to be different than I'm playing to college kids. That's a big one right there because there's two totally different things.
Okay.
But once I'm there and I know the parameters of what I'm in, my job is to get people dancing and buying drinks. I mean, that's basically what a DJ does.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely vibe off the crowd because if you're playing, and it's not, so I'm playing pre-recorded music, yes, but what I'm doing is I can chop that pre-recorded music up into 16th or 8th notes, and I can make it a new song on that one thing. In fact, I have some good friends of mine. They're called the Beat Junkies. Great name. And they used to do this thing where they would have 4 guys on turntables, and each one would be playing a different part of what a musician would be playing. So you'll have a guy scratching horns. You'll have a guy just doing the beat on a scratch on a drum beat. You'll have another guy bringing in a guitar, and it kind of all comes together. So I'm trying to manipulate the music so that it blends in together so that it's seamless. But at the same time, I want to keep the crowd moving, and that's what I mean. You gotta vibe off the crowd. You have to see what your crowd is doing, because if you play a song and the crowd goes nuts and you're like, okay, well, I'm in this pocket now. This is what they want to hear. And, it's funny. I have I have stickers on my turntables. They say no requests and trust the
Mm-hmm. It is an art form, is it not?
DJ. It is because, everything's in a different key. Everything's at a different time signature, and getting stuff to go together that isn't meant to go together
Yeah.
it's challenging, but it's fun. I mean, I played music when I was a kid. I played, first instrument I ever played, and I regretted it as soon as I got into 3rd and 4th grade, the accordion.
Oh, I can see that.
I thought all those buttons are cool as, 5 years old. By the time I hit 8 years old, I'm like, I got to stop getting into fights. And so then I moved to the piano. So I played, and that's another thing I want
Wait
to do.
wait a sec. Was this because the other kids were jealous of you? Like, because you know how to play the accordion?
No, it was funny. It wasn't really fights. It was more like I got the hardest time about playing the accordion. They had anything from Myron Florin, who was the accordion player on Lawrence Welk.
Mm-hmm.
My friends would say, "When are you going to play stuff from the '60s and '70s?" It's like, okay. And also the accordion's tied with the polka. So it's funny. It's like, at the time I thought it was very cool. And it's funny. I still have my accordion.
Mm-hmm.
I have both of them, and I was okay. I was good at it. I mean, I think my mom finally threw my trophies away though, but I had trophies.
Wait a sec. Wait a sec. Wait, you have accordion trophies?
Yeah, I would enter competitions. Uh, it
And
was
win,
fun.
obviously.
Say again.
And win. If you
And
have
yeah,
trophies,
yeah, it was. It was. I love playing music, and in fact, that was
that's
my
fantastic.
biggest regret in life is that I didn't play more music.
I would
Like,
want to see these more on your Instagram feeds, these trophies, because it's
awesome.
like a guy with lederhosen, right? Like a man standing there with lederhosen and the accordion, and he's like playing a
Bum,
polka.
bum, 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 bum. Oh God, yeah. It was fun. I mean, I kept my accordion because it was expensive. My parents got me a Da Vinci. That was the top of the line accordion when I was a kid. I don't know if it still is but my Da Vinci was gold and white, pearl white with gold uh, on the chords, or not on the chords, on the flats and sharps were all gold with pearl
Those
hand.
black keys, or
They were
the
white pearl keys with gold flats and sharps.
that's an instrument that you are meant to be seen with, right? Where you go out in public, where you are winning gold trophies for.
Yeah. or your Weird Al Yankovic. He's from West Cal Poly.
Yeah, I love it. And music, is something that just saves us, as humans. It's a language that everyone can speak, and as far as like from all over the world, it's a universal language, and
Yeah.
it does save our souls. Um,
There's a funny thing that I always say is that music is art, and there's no such thing as bad art. There's art you like and art you don't like.
mhm.
And I feel with music, yeah, absolutely the universal language. I mean, it's there's that song "Last Night a DJ Saved My Life." Uh, that song's come in handy. I don't know how many times. Having a bad day, I'm gonna go hear some live music. Someone died, I'm gonna go hear some live music. Ask Christine, I'm getting on that time frame now. She knows if I don't go see something live at least once a month, I get irritable and steer crazy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and it's always been there. And it's like, there was this thing like I'll hear a song and all the hairs on my arms will stand up.
Yeah.
And Christine will be like, she'll say something like, well, she actually figured out what it was called. It's called frisson. And it's recalling a memory based on something that happened. And the music to me is really the only thing that does that. I mean, you can hear a song and say that song has some specific meaning to you.
Yeah.
Every time you hear that song, you're going to go back to that memory. Oh, I remember I kissed this girl while this song was playing on the radio on our first date. Or I remember I got that job and I got in my car and this song was playing. Or I remember I went to this show and it was so amazing. And that happens to me all the time. And it really happens only with music. I suppose to a certain degree it could happen with really good art. And, it's happened to me when I've seen like a Van Gogh or a Rembrandt
Mhm.
but music, it always happens.
Yeah.
Always. It's weird. That's what I love about music. It's always been in my life, and it's always been around, and it's always been something that I've gravitated to. I started building my own first stereo when I was 15 because I wanted something good to hear my music on. Always. It's a saving grace. I mean, there's so many songs I used to train to, songs, you'll hear something like, oh yeah, I remember this happened, and all the hairs on my arm will stand up, and I get like crazy goosebumps on the back of my neck because I'm remembering that memory, and it's there like it was yesterday, and music always does that for me.
Frisson.
Frisson.
What is there any music like right now that you can recommend to people, or is it so tailored to one's unique taste that it's just like where you would say, you know what, use this time to listen to music, because the time that you spend will be like almost a meditative state, and it can be very calming. I don't mean to answer your question for you that I just asked, but is there anything that you can recommend to people or?
Well, let's start with the obvious. Any one of your CDs.
Oh, well, of course. That was a given.
The Ohm one's in the music room right now. I just turned it off.
Why did you turn it off?
Because I wanted to keep it. Well, two reasons. One, we were talking. I didn't know about background noise, and two,
Yeah.
Chris is working in the room right across the way, and I like, is it going to be weird if I'm talking? And she said, yes. So there's no music playing right now. This is one of the few times of the day. But yeah, they're great. You know what I say? Just go out and listen to something. You know, it doesn't. If there's a band that you're curious about that you never had time to listen to, and there's so many ways to listen to music. If you have a Spotify account, it's awesome. If you have an Apple Music account, awesome. If you have a Pandora account, awesome. If you have YouTube, awesome. Find something that you want to hear and just go listen to it. I mean, because like I said, music, there's music you like and music you don't like. I'm hesitant to pick artists out for other people without knowing what their tastes are, because I've got real I'm all over the place, man. I have 35,000 records and they're everything. I got anything from thrash metal to, I have Myron Florin on vinyl, playing the accordion. I have Brazilian samba music and bossa nova. I've got big band. I've got a Sinatra section that's 200 records deep. You know, it's I'm all over the board, and I love all of the stuff that's coming out right now. Like I said, the new Pearl Jam album is amazing. The new Weekend album is amazing. The new Steve Spacek. I mean, the two 9 Inch Nails albums are good, and he put them out for free. I mean, I'm a huge 9 Inch Nails fan. I just, if there's something that interests you, just go listen to it so you have a thought in your head. And you know, my whole thing is, I'll hear a song and it makes me think of something else, and I'll go on that tangent. Like, you know, this song's really good. It kind of reminds me of this, and I'll play that. And then, you know what, I feel like hearing this. And it all changes. Like, I think today I listened to Metallica in the morning. And then I listened to, what's the name of that record? I'm drawing a blank right now. And then I listened to Johnny Cash. And then I listened to, I'm all over the place. Journey.
Like one thing leads to another.
It does. And it's like, you know, so there's old music you can listen to. There's new music you can listen to. It's all good. Just listen. It's going to be a total attitude changer for you. I mean, if you just listen, you know, feel the music. And, you know, if it's something, here's the thing. If you have something that you tie to a certain memory, go listen to that song. Relive that memory. Why not? Memories are there to remind us of either usually horribly bad or horribly good. So,
is there a horribly good?
Too much good? No, there's no too much good. That was me being sarcastic.
This is on my request list. Is an accordion version of Born to Be Wild.
I'm picturing the guitars in my head. Probably play the
yeah. Either that or to have you like recreate Inagata Davida, the accordion version of that. Have you heard that? Have you heard like some?
I have heard an accordion version of that. I have a long time ago, and I don't remember where I heard it.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna YouTube that, and I'm gonna think of you, Vince. Vince Fortunato. Where can people find you, Vince, on the social medias?
At Vincefo on Instagram, at Vincefo on Twitter, at Vincefo on Facebook.
So that's Vince, Vincefo.
Correct.
Vincefo.
That is correct.
Any final thoughts before we end this interview? That I've learned a new word in Frisian, and I'm gonna look it up, and I'm gonna like feel smarter because of my association with you.
I would say that the very first envelope that I opened up from you on the tarot class that we did at the store was patience. That is number one. Patience
Wow.
is huge right now. And the second part of that would be love. I mean, there's no such thing as too much love. And, that all goes back to love thy neighbor. I mean, love, just put as much love as you can out there. And I'm going to be perfectly honest and blunt about this. I don't know if I can curse, but I've been an asshole for about 3 weeks before this, just because it was a weird time. And maybe in the last week or so, I've started to come out of that. I could just feel it in my headspace. Christine could feel it too. And my solution to that is just love. There's no time for worrying about anything else right now because it's uncertain. But if we all love each other, what possible harm could come out of that? I mean, I can't see any in my head. There's always like, oh, don't do too much, don't drink too much because you'll get drunk and you won't be able to drive. There's no such thing as don't love too much, other than maybe use protection if you don't want a baby. I mean, that's my only advice. But there's no such thing as too much love.
That's good advice.
I think so too.
Wear protection. Wear protection when you're loving.
Wear protection when you get the frisson.
All right. With that wisdom, we'll sign off. Thank you, Vince, and blessings to you.
Blessings to you, brother. Always.
All right.